But yeah, just a tough game against a really good opponent. Obviously, didn't play our best ball on offense. We were trending in the right direction leading up into that game, and credit to Cincinnati, really stout front seven, stout front six, depending on what front they were playing. Did a great job of isolating our run game, really, and those guys play, really tight man coverage on the back end. Our guys struggled to get open, so good defensive performance by Cincinnati. Really, stabilized our offense. And although we had some opportunities, self-inflicting deals such as turnovers and things of that sort, really put us in a tough bind. Defensively, I thought we played really well in spots. Obviously, that second half, holding them to 2 field goals was something that, that's winning football. Just got to find a way to play some complementary football. I think our focus moving into this week will be to, really, have a much better performance on offense and try to play some complementary football through all 3 phases. Really send our seniors off with a good taste in their mouth. We're at home, senior day, all that good stuff, senior appreciation day. Those guys have been through a whole lot, in their time here at Temple with, surviving the pandemic and obviously coaching changes and all the other good stuff, but real excited about how they've overcome that as a senior group and, provided some really good examples of what it means to be Temple tough. And, these are things that we will build on as we move forward. But again, our main focus is to make sure that we put out a much better performance this week to really send them off with the proper respect they deserve.
Stan, coming to the building today, looked like a lot of guys even walking boots or owning scooters. First year as a head coach, what's it like managing the the workload and the running the tear of a team, a full larger roster than just a running back room that you've been accustomed to?
Guys get hurt playing football. It's something that every year you're gonna have to manage that, right? I've never been a part of a season where everybody just stays healthy, period. So first year, being a head coach, overlooking all positions and or managing a running back room, I've never seen a team get through a whole season completely healthy, so, those are a couple of things we've got to look at. Obviously, we came in, hair on fire, really from a strength and conditioning standpoint, had to identify, where they were, what we were inheriting, just strength levels, what they knew about strength and conditioning, and, obviously bringing in our own unique philosophy and way of lifting. They had to learn how to lift, and, it's not like we're putting loads and loads of weight on their back and say, hey, you're going to get stronger in this short period of time. It was an evaluation process. So, I think the advantage moving forward in year 2 is that we already know where they are, although there will be newcomers and things of that sort, but the philosophy is already going to be instilled in our players' heads, so we can hit the ground running and really lock in and focus in on, strength building, injury prevention, things of that sort. Injuries happen, man. We got to live through that, and it's always got to be a next man up mentality with that respect, and see if we can do the best that we can in educating them, from a nutritional standpoint, sleep standpoint, all the things that if you take for granted, you do get hurt, we'll do a much better job of that next year.
Stan, is Ahmad back this week, and how hopeful are you that Dono and maybe Wiz could get back?
Dono's day-to-day, Wiz is day-to-day, Ahmad will be back.
But, receiver, when this season started, did you think, you probably hope, but do you think Jose could be like a 60, 70 catch guy? That's what he's going to end up in that range?
Yeah, I think Jose is capable of a lot, and I hate to put a cap on his, what he's capable of doing for us. I think he's a guy who prepares well, obviously a veteran, a guy who understands coverages and knows when and how to make adjustments. And, you know, when he's on, he's pretty doggone good. So, you know, I hate to put a cap on a guy like that, you know, but I know he's capable of being a playmaker for us on a consistent basis. And I think, you know, as he continues to develop, I think he'll be that for us for sure.
Yeah, is he capable of sort of, right? He seems like a natural guy to just take a real leadership spot for the whole offense.
There's no question about it. A guy who's been through a lot, and, you know, he does things right. He's a great example already, right? And I think, you know, I think he will be falling short if he's anything less than one of our top leaders and a guy who could be a single-digit candidate and, you know, a guy who could take ownership of that room. I mean, I think that's should be expected of a guy of his tenure here at Temple at this point in his career.
Stan, what was your relationship with the seniors like this year? You know, coming in, you didn't have them for their first 3, 4, 5 years, and now kind of relying on them and trying to send them out the right way. What's it been like?
That's a great question, right? It's like, you know, you're fighting to get to know everybody in such a short period of time, and then you got these seniors that you're trying to figure out. And you know, the one thing I can say is people like Adam Klein, Isaac Moore, you know, Jalen Ware, those guys have been consistently the same people on a daily basis. You know, they've been very accountable guys. They've been open with their communication. They've earned my trust really early in the process. And I can tell that they genuinely love this place and care for their teammates. So that alone right there is something that we're trying to build this program on, is truth, honesty, and, you know, sacrifice for each other for the sake of the program. They'll forever be talked about as people who have helped build the foundation to the culture that we're trying to bring in as a new staff here at Temple. And I just really appreciate their daily effort into, you know, really trying to not try actually buy in, but really try to rally the troops in that locker room to make sure that they all fall in line with what we're trying to do as a program. So I will always hold them in high regard, and, you know, I'll be emotional about those guys leaving the program because they, you know, year one, my first year as a head football coach, it's hard to trust too much, right? But those guys earned my trust really early, and I'll never forget that.
You think that, you know, how do you feel you'll react on Saturday coming out, having to acknowledge them? I mean, is that going to be emotional for you in the moment?
Yeah, I'm an emotional guy anyway. You know, you can put a good movie on, and, you know, if it's got a good storyline that can touch some of my personal things that I've been through, you may get a tear out of me. Not as bad as my wife over there. She cries at the Lion King, but no. You know, again, you know, for me, I enjoy watching people grow. You know what I mean? I enjoy watching young men overcome adversity and tough it out and become a little bit more of a man because of it. You know, and for me, that I can project that person is going to be a great husband one day that you know, can fight through some of the marital issues that people fight through, and a great father with all the trials and tribulations that come with raising a child, and, you know, a young man that's going to get himself involved in some type of a career, you know, whether it be professional football, whether it be, you know, a CEO of a company or whatever it may be, you know, that he's going to be a person of leadership in that role. And I can see that in some of these guys that are going to be walking away from this program this year. And for me, that's why I coach, you know, so that will hit a personal chord for me. You know, it will have an effect on me, you know, and it will be all good, all happy, you know, happy for those young men, but really proud of how far they've come in this short period of time that I've been around them.
So there's like a saying now that you got to recruit your own player, right? Because of the portal, you got to recruit your own players every day. Now that you hit the end of the year, and I guess maybe year-end meetings coming up with players, is there anything, I don't know, like how does that conversation go, or do you have any additional recruiting plans with respect to your own guys now that, you know, it's that season?
Yeah, you know, I will honestly say, you know, to build a program with a vision that you have, you got to get people that are thinking and buying into that vision. So that means you got to get your own type of a guide. And I guess that the answer to that question is yes. You know, I just need, you know, tough individuals who are willing to be motivated to get a degree and grow into a whole man that will be accountable to not only his teammates on the field, but accountable to himself and his family off the field. And, you know, a young man who strives to be great in every aspect of his life. Although that's going to come with some trials and tribulations, that he will also be tough enough to endure and not shy away from those challenges in his development, and come here and be a great representation for not only himself, but for the Cherry and White, for the Temple football program that carries a very strong tradition and a lot of pride. And we represent a lot of people who love this program. So, yeah, that's the kind of guy that I'm looking for, you know, and that would be my guy. That would be our guy, you know, as a university. And to say that we're going to find those guys just readily available, you know, no, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. Those are special. That's a special type of characteristic that we're looking for to build a championship caliber program here. And we have to do a great job as a coaching staff to really dive in, do our homework thoroughly in the recruiting process, whether it be through the portal, whether it be JC, you know, whether it be high school, whatever avenue we decide to take to go find these players, we have to do our homework, and we have to, you know, challenge these recruits, ask them the tough questions of what they're willing to do to be great. And so that is the kind of guy that we're looking for. We need more of them on this football team, and we're going to go find them, and we're going to go develop them to be the type of player, the type of person that we want them to be here at Temple.
On that note, you know, Temple's got a good amount of guys in the NFL. They got 2 guys drafted to the XFL. You know, last week. What's that kind of say about this program and the potential that it has to, you know, get guys where they want to go?
There's no doubt about it. I think the characteristics that I just described right there, I don't think there will be not one NFL team or one professional football team that's out there that would not want those traits in an individual. You know, so I think we'll be completely in line with what they would want, and if the athletic gift fits along with that characteristic, we will produce professional athletes, professional football players here, just like they have in the past here at Temple.
With Cameron Ruiz coming off an injury, you know, he's a senior, in a 6-year senior in the room with, you know, a lot of younger guys who've kind of played a little more than he has. He's kind of had to take in maybe even a little bit of a lesser role on the field. What have you seen out of him this year?
Well, you know, a young man who had to overcome a lot. That was an emotional time that he had to fight through. There was a lot of question marks that were rolling through his head as if he were going to even play football again. You know, that rolled through his head, and it was a very emotional time throughout his rehabilitation through that injury, and it was a major injury, right? It was something that the doctors don't see a whole lot in football players, especially something that was a non-contact injury. You know, but the young man overcame it, man, and to see him, you know, really not miss a beat, not miss a game, and in the process of his rehab, continue to prepare mentally and be a guy that was an example in that room of, yes, I'm going through something, but I am still preparing myself to play. I mean, that is a priceless experience for, you know, a young person to really pay attention to and see on a daily basis from a guy who's fighting through something and preparing himself for something, you know. And so I hold Cam in a very high spot in my heart because of that. You know, a guy who persevered through something very, very tough, and not making plays for us on the football field. A guy that we are relying on to make plays, you know. And it's just a phenomenal story, and, you know, I hope to be around many more like that.
Stan, how do you keep guys locked in this week? Like Saturday is senior day, then you got Thanksgiving break. Everybody else but, athletes and I guess media are on break.
Yeah,
how do you keep them locked in and then try to give them, something on Thursday to be able to enjoy the
Yeah, we talk about it. The very first thing I said to him this morning is this is a week of distractions if we allow it. But if we're trying to be what we said we're trying to become, then we eliminate distractions. So obviously, Thanksgiving, we're going to give them a little bit of time off after practice Wednesday to go see their families. And Thursday, I expect them to be back here, on time and ready to go to work for Thursday's practice. But not to lose sight of what Thanksgiving means for us as we continue to develop as a football program. Thanksgiving for us means we need to be giving thanks to the guys who have paved the way for us, our seniors. We cannot lose sight of where we're trying to go as a football program and trying to create a winning culture, a culture that wins championships. And this is another opportunity for us to work toward that goal, the long-term goals that we have in place as a football family, that we all, as a coaching staff and as a football team, have agreed that this is where Temple football should be trending to. So we're all in this together, and we can't allow the distractions to get in the way of what we're trying to achieve as a program.
I'm going to ask about two guys who, young guys who showed out a little Saturday. Sam Martin, I guess he's like a secret weapon on kickoff return. You waited the whole season to have him do something,
and then weapon, right? Yeah. Hey, I'm glad he had that opportunity to expose that skill set. I had no idea what he would be like if he would flinch in that situation or anything. And those are the pleasant surprises that you get when it's a next man up mentality. When somebody gets hurt and somebody has to step up. I've seen him back there catching balls, and it's always been against a developmental squad kickoff team. And then it's live, and he's got, the lights are on, he's got to perform, and the kid did a phenomenal job. That's how you discover things sometimes, you know what I mean? I'm sure it was like that for Hassan Reddick, who came in and played one position, got moved to another position, and all of a sudden he gets his moment and he shines. You just never know. That's why you can never underestimate the young men you have on your football team and the mindset that they may have deep within. And you just never know when they get that opportunity, what's going to come out of them. So I'm excited about Sam, and the conversation that he had coming off the field, proved that he can actually see what was going on in front of him. The return was slowing down in front of him. That is the gift of a really good returner, to be able to slow things down. Because just think about it. You got 22 people out there that are just running chaotically, to the football at one time, and to have the instinct to find out where the leverage of your blocks are, get your balls, first of all, catching the football, eyes from the air to things in front of you, to get oriented and to understand what's going on in front of you. That's a sign of a really good returner. So I'm really anxious to see, Sam return the ball this week and see if that was some real stuff we saw last week.
And how about Darian Varner? With him out, Balansama Kamara got his first start.
Yeah, guys got to step up in that respect. And, although we really do miss Varner, I do like what I saw and the guys that stepped up behind him. And you lose a guy like Varner, it's not just one man that has to fill that void. It really has to be a collective effort from that whole defensive line, that whole DN room, because he brings so much to the table. And I thought those guys stepped up in the right way for us having missed a player like that.
And looking ahead to Saturday, what have you seen on film from ECU?
First thing that jumps out is you got a real quarterback, a guy who's a veteran, fifth-year starter, been a captain for 3 of those 5 years, and left-handed guy who knows how to deliver the ball, doesn't flinch under pressure at all. Can hurt you with his feet if he needs to. There is a dynamic running back. This number 2 guy is probably going to be the most dynamic running back that we face. It's hard to get a body on him. He's extremely fast, very instinctive, makes quick decisions. ECU has a strong defensive line. There's 3 guys that are up there with size and power, and they can be disruptive at times. And I think this overall skill set of their DBs and wide receivers. I mean, they've proven to be able to play at a high level this year against good opponents. So although last week may not have been their best week, there's too much on film that we've seen in crossover film that proves that this is a good football team that we're getting ready to play here, that is very capable of coming out and playing at a high level. So we have to lock in, on defense. We got to find a way to corral this running back to the best of our ability, try to find a way to, stay strong in coverage with these big wide receivers that we're playing against. I mean, great size at wide out, and see if we can contain this quarterback to the best of our ability. And on offense, we got to get back to, moving the football, sustaining drives, trying to the best of our ability create explosives to get the ball into the end zone. And that's going to take a total team effort of everything that we talked about. Again, giving credit to ECU. They are a very talented and very competitive football team. So we're really looking forward to the challenge.
Yeah, can you describe sort of what I mean, I just saw you guys run up and down the field against Houston, and then they managed 3 points against, right? Houston's just like shootout against everybody. They managed just 3 points against. Could you describe what you saw in film that, I don't know, didn't work for ECU, that worked so well, right, when they beat UCF right after you guys have played?
You just never know, like, there's so many intangibles to approaching the ball game, right? You just never know what the mindset was of a football team on any given Saturday, right? So I don't know what I saw on film. I just know what is real. That is a good football team, ECU. And I know after playing Houston that is a good football team. And it comes down to who's the best team on that game day. Who's the team that's putting it all together at the right time. And it looks like Houston did that this week. But I've seen ECU do it prior weeks. So that being said, where my focus is, right? I got to lock in and focus on tempo, and let's see if we can put together our best week of football, and see if we can be the team that we need to be to put ourselves in a very competitive situation this week.
Coach, just kind of going back to how you said that there's guys on this team that are changing positions, trying to help the team win. There was twice in the third quarter Saturday where EJ went to DeJuan Mathis in pretty big spots. The second throw, it ended up in a turnover, but it seems like EJ has some confidence in DeJuan. I'm wondering what you think that says about DeJuan's work ethic, or maybe just his ability to be able to step in there, switch positions, and have his quarterback trust him so easily.
Yeah, he's been practicing his butt off, and he's a natural athlete. He's always had good ball skills, but now he's starting to put himself in the right positions at the right time. He's starting to get to proper depth of routes. He's starting to have some understanding of coverage. And there were times where you get a big body against man coverage. Although there's a guy on you, there's a large catch radius that's there. So I think you saw that happen across the middle. He had a guy that was on him, but DeJuan made a real nice catch, contested catch with a guy that was all over him. Those all bring confidence in your quarterback and the ability to get the ball to certain receivers. So a big target that could win versus man coverage, I think, is always going to be favorable for the quarterback to try to get the ball to a target like that. But DeJuan's ceiling is still very, very high. He has a lot of growing to do, but the confidence level is starting to come out a lot more. And I think we're feeling that in practice, and I think that's why you start to see the confidence in EJ, having a receiver like that.
Stan, you get a whole off season to work DeJuan out as a receiver, get him in the weight room, get his body conditioned to be a receiver, and then a whole spring to get him even more used to the position. How excited are you about what he can be now that you get a whole off season to work with him as a receiver?
Very, very, very excited. He's one guy that I think that when there's complete buy-in and there starts to be a full understanding of him knowing what his capabilities are, and him accepting the workload that he's got to put himself through to become the receiver that he's capable of becoming, that you're going to see a really special player in that kid.
Kind of a year-end question, not that the year's over for EJ, but I think we've seen enough. Opposing coaches every week, they talk about how he gets it out on time. If the guy's open, more often than not, he's going to find him. It seems like the one thing, when something's not there, that's something that he's got to develop. Like, how does he become a guy who can make plays when, right, the guys he's looking at aren't open?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point, and there's many ways to make plays in that situation, right? First of all, just making smart decisions, finding your check downs, or, there's a time where you may need to throw the ball away, or there may be a time where you need to tuck it and run it, every now and again. But that's eventually going to come with time with EJ. He's a sharp study. He watches a lot of football, he really cares about his development. He wants to be great. He's trying to create his own journey. I think that we'll see all those things improve in time for sure with this kid.